king of Judah. It came also in the days of Joachim, the son of Joash, king of Judah, unto the hand of 11 years of Joachim, the son of Joshua, king of Judah, unto the carrying away of Jerusalem captivity in the 5th month. As I say that, this is happening in a hard situation where things were not easy. And we can see all the list of the king. Almost 5 kings are mentioned here during the time of Jeremiah. And they have been turned away in a different way. God is punishing his people because of their sin. And in the same time, God has appointed Jeremiah to go and preach the repentance to people. It was not only the repentance, but to tell them that they still have hope. Even after everything they are going through, God is still planning salvation. God is still planning restoration to Judah. The same thing. So from there, we're going to have our first point, which is God's plan and sovereign call. So God's plan and sovereign call from verse 1 to verse 3, as I read, we can see that God's calling is specific and personal. When God is calling us, something is personal, is specific. God doesn't have confusion when he's calling his people. He's calling people in specific time. And his call is personal. In verse 1 to verse 3, we see Jeremiah was the son of the priest. But his father was not the one who pointed him to the ministry. He was not pointed in the ministry by his father, but by God alone. That's why we say God's calling is always specific and personal. It's something is personal between God and the person that he has chosen. You can be a son of the pastor, but it doesn't mean that you have to become a pastor. You can be a son of prophet, doesn't mean that you can become a prophet. God has already chosen his people in his time. So Jeremiah, the same thing. So when we speak about sovereignty, sovereignty means God is in control. Means that God controls everything. He controls the movements, the events, our thoughts, our idea. God controlling everything. That's what the meaning of sovereignty. Means that God controls everything. God knows everything. God has a power over everything. So God calling happened in present location. We have seen the location here. The Bible says in the land of Benjamin. So when you speak about the location, God calls us in present location. We cannot say that, okay, I'm in America, I'm waiting God's call when I will be in Congo. I cannot say that, okay, I'm in Congo, I'm waiting for God's call when I will be in the U.S. That's not making sense. God calls people in present location. If you read the Bible, you will see that Paul was calling when he was going to Damascus. When you see Moses was in a fixed location. Most of people that God has called, he has called them in fixed location. So this can be a location where God has pointed you, when God has calling you to serve, when God has setting you so that you can serve him for a divine purpose. It's not that I'm waiting for future ministry. You know, when I was in college in Kenya, my friend who used to tell me, oh, James, that's not time for us to do ministry. It's a time to study. So I was going to east of Africa to preach the gospel as a student. But when I do that, many friends of mine was like, this is not a time for you. This is a time for you to do assignments, a time for you to be in the library. It is not a time for you to go for ministry. So for them, they believe in future ministry. And I tell that there's no future ministry. What I'm doing today is ministry. So whatever you do today for the Lord is your ministry. There is no future ministry because nobody knows what will happen tomorrow. So it's better for us to engage, to be engaged to serve the Lord where the Lord has appointed us, in a location, in the time. We are doing that in the right time and in the right place. Whatever you do for the Lord, you're doing it in the right time. and in right place, in a good location, in a good time. So location is in a present location. It's not like future location, but wherever God has calling you, pointed you, is the time that the Lord has pointed you to do. And another thing is, God's calling happened in present circumstance. Whatever circumstance that you are facing, it can be sickness, it can be you are single or you're married, it can be anything that's happening to your life. In that circumstance, God called you like that. I was young. That was my circumstance. I was like, I can do whatever I want. I was underage, but the Lord has still pointed me in that circumstance. I was able to serve Him. I was being in a country where everything was down. Political situation, war in the east of Congo. The country had changed the name. The things was down. In that circumstance, God has calling me to serve Him. So wherever the circumstance that the Lord is calling you to serve Him, you just remain faithful. Jeremiah, in this time, where the Babylon was fighting to get Judah, and they took away the captivity, everything was down. But at the same time, the Lord has called Jeremiah to serve Him for a divine purpose. And another thing we see in this point is God's calling is under leadership. So when God is calling us, He will put us under leadership. It can be godly leadership or it can be ungodly leadership. That cannot stop God's will. Whether it's ungodly leadership or a godly leadership, God has still have purpose for everything. Sometimes we can have a bad leadership in politics. We can have bad leadership wherever. But God has pointed us to be humble, to serve Him in under leadership. Because even as we are under shepherd, and Himself, Jesus, is a big shepherd. We are serving Him. We are humble to Him. The same way also God will manifest His glory to our life. So another thing, second point here, we can see from verse 4, where we read, the Bible said, "Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nation." So that's how our second point will be, the intimate knowledge of God. Before Jeremiah was born, God knew him. Before I was born, God knew me. Before you were born, God knew in advance. That we call omniscience, which means God knows everything before even that happened. God knew in advance. I know even for salvation, many people have debates when we speak that God has elected us before the creation of the world. Many theologians, many people are against the doctrine. It means God knows us in advance. God knew that people those who will be saved, God knew already because He's all-knowing God. So here He's saying that before Jeremiah was born, God knew Jeremiah. Before I was born, God knew that I will be born in Africa. God knew that I will come in America. God knew that I will serve everything we do. God knew it in advance. There's nothing happened by accident. There's nothing is surprise before God. Nothing is surprise. Whatever we do today, God knew, and God knows that. So Jeremiah was born, before he was born, God knew him. That's why we say the intimate knowledge of God. It's not only about knowing us, but He has also intimate with us. He has also a relationship with us, because knowing somebody is something else, and having intimate with Him is also Different thing. You can know somebody, but you don't have intimate with him. You don't have a friendship with him. You don't have a relationship with him. But God, when God says he knows us, it means he has intimate relationship with us. He has a lovely relationship with us. He has a kindly relationship with us. He has everything with us. There's nothing like knowing somebody only, but know with intimate. The same way he said that here in verse 4. Then, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. Even before I was born, God knew the color. God knew the size. God knew my weight. God knew everything, that how I will be. And before thou comest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. It's not only about knowing, but he also sanctified. God has sanctified us. Before God pointed us to the ministry, he himself, he did everything. He cleansed us. He sanctified us. He made us perfect for him. As I gave an example, when you are cleaning the plate or the cup, everything, you are preparing that because you want to use that. God cannot use something which is unclean. Even as you cannot use something which is unclean, you have to arrange, wash your plate, wash the cup, because you know that